What happens when an undercover boss walks into his own hotel and witnesses how guests are truly treated? Let's dive in to find out. Bryce Calloway was a man who had built his life on hard work and determination. Born in a small town, he grew up watching his father struggle to run a local hardware store. Bryce learned early that running a business wasn't just about making money, it was about people. Those lessons stayed with him as he climbed the ladder of the hospitality industry. Now, at 45 years old, he was the CEO of one of the country's most popular hotel chains, Evermore Stays. The Evermore Stays brand was his pride and joy. Each hotel was marketed as a place where guests would feel like family. But recently, Bryce had received anonymous complaints about one of his flagship hotels in Chicago. Some of the reviews mentioned rude staff, poor service, and a complete lack of care for guests. Bryce couldn't let it slide. Determined to see the truth for himself, Bryce decided to visit the hotel undercover. He put on a modest jacket, a baseball cap, and a pair of old sneakers, nothing to suggest he was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. With a simple bag slung over his shoulder, he arrived at Evermore Stays, Chicago downtown, on a cold Thursday afternoon. The lobby of the hotel was elegant, with polished floors, gleaming chandeliers, and a fresh scent of lavender in the air. But Bryce noticed something strange right away. At the front desk, a line of tired guests waited as a single staff member, Alan, typed slowly on a computer. His expression was blank, almost irritated, as he muttered, "Next." When Bryce's turn came, he approached the desk with a polite smile. "Hi, I have a reservation." Alan didn't look up. "Name?" he asked flatly. "Bryce Harper," he replied, using an alias he had created for the visit. Without any acknowledgement, Alan tapped away on the keyboard. Bryce could hear the frustration in the voices of the guests behind him. When Alan finally handed over the key, he said, "Room 315, elevators to your left." "Thank you," Bryce said, trying to maintain his cover. Alan didn't respond. He was already calling out for the next guest. In his room, Bryce sat on the edge of the bed, thinking about what he had seen. The attitude at the front desk wasn't just unfriendly, it was dismissive. He decided to spend the evening observing the hotel staff to see if this was an isolated incident or a larger problem. Later that night, Bryce found himself in the lobby again, watching from a corner. That's when he saw something that struck him hard. An elderly man in a worn coat stood at the front desk. He appeared confused, holding a stack of papers. "Sir, I booked a room through your website, but it seems there's an issue," the man explained, his voice trembling slightly. Alan, still at the desk, rolled his eyes. "Like I said, if it's not in the system, I can't do anything." "But I have the confirmation email right here," the man pleaded. Alan sighed loudly, his irritation clear. "Look, I don't have time for this. You can call customer service." Bryce felt a surge of anger. He couldn't believe what he was witnessing. As the elderly man walked away, defeated, Bryce followed him outside. "Excuse me, sir," Bryce said gently. "Can I help you?" The man introduced himself as Mr. Bryce Thompson and explained that he had traveled from another state to visit his grandson, who was recovering from surgery. This hotel was supposed to be his resting place during the visit, but now he didn't have a room. Bryce assured him he would handle it. Bryce returned to the lobby, this time with purpose. He didn't reveal who he was yet, but he approached another staff member, Josh, who was standing near the concierge desk. "Hi, I need to speak to a manager." Josh, a young man with a nervous demeanor, nodded. "Of course, sir. I'll get Mr. Peterson." A few minutes later, Mark Peterson, the general manager, appeared. Bryce introduced himself using his alias and explained Mr. Thompson's situation. Mark listened carefully and immediately took action, apologizing to Mr. Thompson and finding him a room. Bryce felt a small glimmer of hope. At least someone cared. But Bryce wasn't done. He decided to stay up late and see how the staff behaved during the night shift. What he discovered shocked him even more. At around midnight, Bryce saw Alan and another staff member, Kevin, laughing and chatting behind the desk. They were talking about guests in mocking tones. "Did you see that guy in the coat earlier?" Alan joked. "What a mess." Bryce's heart sank. He realized this wasn't just about Alan's poor attitude. It was a culture problem. The next morning, Bryce called for a private meeting with Mark Peterson. "I need to show you something," Bryce said, dropping his alias. "I'm Bryce Calloway, CEO of Evermore Stays." Mark's face turned pale. Bryce played recordings he had taken of the staff's behavior, including Alan's rude remarks. Mark admitted that he had been struggling to keep the team motivated and had overlooked some serious issues. Bryce didn't waste time. He called an emergency staff meeting and revealed his identity to everyone. There were gasps of shock and a heavy silence in the room. "This isn't the Evermore Stays I worked so hard to build," Bryce said. "We're here to serve people, not treat them like they don't matter." Bryce didn't fire anyone immediately. Instead, he implemented a complete retraining program. Alan was placed on probation, and the staff underwent workshops on empathy and customer service. Bryce also set up a system where guests could provide real-time feedback. As for Mr. Thompson, Bryce personally arranged for his stay to be upgraded, free of charge. He even visited the man's grandson in the hospital to show his support. Months later, the Chicago hotel transformed. Reviews improved, and guests praised the warm, welcoming staff. Bryce's undercover visit became a turning point, not just for the hotel, but for Bryce himself. It reminded him why he started this journey in the first place, to create a place where everyone felt at home. Sometimes, it takes a moment of truth to bring out the best in people. For Bryce Calloway, that moment was a reminder that leadership isn't about titles, it's about heart. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you'd like to show some extra love, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks.